A few years ago, my wife bought a 10-foot pool for our children. I was the one tasked with setting it up. There was a good space in our garden for the pool. It was near power, water, and somewhere to empty the water at the end of the summer. The drain is especially important if your neighbours wouldn't appreciate 4,000 litres of water flooding into their garden at a moment's notice. However, there was a problem with the pool. The instructions said only set up on a level ground, and my garden was on a slope. My garden slope is roughly 4.1 degrees. This doesn't sound like much, but across a 10-foot pool, this is a drop of over 8 inches. Or if you're metric, over a 3-metre pool with a drop of over 20 centimetres. The only way to put a pool on a slope is to level off the ground. You can either dig into the ground or build the ground up. I chose both. So I dug down at the highest point and I placed all the dirt at the lowest point. Now the base is virtually level. This is all I did the first year I put up the pool. However, any splash of water, any drop of rain eroded the base, which meant I needed to stop the supports from shifting. I needed something to stop the edges being just washed away. I used small pieces of wood to lift the feet back up, and I also used metal stakes to stop those bits of wood being pushed away. It worked, but it still had me worried that it might collapse. The next year I wanted pieces of wood to stop the edges being eroded, kind of like a dam. To get started I needed to recreate the base. I had an old shipping pallet that I could use for pieces of wood, and I cut those up. The pieces were a little bit too long and I wanted to keep the rounded edge, so I trimmed them to size. I then created little wooden stakes to keep those bigger pieces in place, and they came from an old wardrobe. I was concerned that the whole thing would be a tripping hazard, so I added soil sort of to bury them. This also had the added benefit of reinforcing them. This worked really well last year, so let's see what it looks like now. A few of the pieces appear to have broken away, and it appears that I have a few holes to fill in. The first thing I need to do is check for any exposed stones or large stones that are just beneath the surface. My garden has many stones, and every year a few find their way to the surface just underneath my pool. This is the sort of stone I need to watch out for. Now that I've removed the big stones, we're going to be left with a few holes. To fill the holes in, I need something. And the cheapest way to do that is with sand. I could buy some really fine sand without any lumps in it, and that's quite expensive. As much as I'm loath to try, I actually am using sharp sand for this. It's full of lots of little stones, but they shouldn't be a problem if I put padding on the top. I'm going to move it around to anywhere there's a hole, or the base is a little bit uneven. And the spirit level is going to help me make sure that everything is smooth. I want to put down something to insulate the ground from the pool. I'm hoping this would also help with maintaining the temperature of the pool, but also add a little bit of cushioning to the base of the pool. My wife bought some foam mats for exercising on, but they didn't work out, so these should work really well. However, there isn't enough, and I don't really want to spend any more money if I can avoid it. For the last year, we've been using a recipe box delivery service. In every box is some installation made from recycled plastic, and we've had enough of this delivery service that I have loads of this stuff lying around. And I think these are perfect for putting under the pool. Finally, to stop everything going yucky from the rain, I bought a ground cloth to cover it all. This was only £7 or $10 when I bought it back in March. This should make a nice base for the pool, It's soft and hopefully won't let any stones through. Hey, Future Dan here. When putting the cover on, try and make sure that none of them go underneath the poles. If the pole basically rests on the mat and all this, then it's going to sink in and create little pockets of water. And this is going to be bad for your pool because it's going to be where bugs can breed. For me, it's where the midge larvae are hiding out. So what I would suggest is you kind of wrap the insulation up and also wrap up the mat and either put it completely under the pool or half tuck it under the poles. And that'll allow the water to drain away and not collect at the feet.